Ali Abunimah is our special guest. He's with Electronic Intifada, and he's also the author of Battle for Justice in Palestine. I imagine you're Palestinian.
Yes.
It's very nice of you to join us. I know you come at this from a very personal perspective. So as a Palestinian, you have a very focused perspective on this whole Israeli seeming domination of U.S. policy, which, by the way, is not something that has begun as a result of the Trump administration. This has been going on for a long time. It's a very close relationship. Some would say good, some would say not so good. But let's move on. Here's the story today. For 52 years, U.S. presidents have essentially push back against the idea of recognizing the Golan Heights. Here is Mr. Trump. He comes in and with one tweet changes all of that. What is your reaction to that? And if you think it's a bad decision, explain to us why.
Well, at first, it's not surprising because it's in keeping with all of the other things Trump has been doing, from unilaterally awarding occupied East Jerusalem to Israel, to moving the U.S. embassy, to cutting off all humanitarian aid to the Palestinians. So it's really another, let's say, logical step in the Trump administration's policy of doing absolutely everything on Israel's wish list.
But let's cut right to the chase. As far as the Golan Heights go, some people would say they won that region in a war, fair and square. It should be a part of Israel.
Well, that's not how it works, of course, because no country in the world, except now apparently the Trump administration, recognizes the Golan Heights as part of Israel under international law and UN resolutions which were supported by the United States. This is occupied territory, this is Syrian territory, and the basic principle of international law since World War II is the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war. Countries can't just invade each other and annex their territory. That's why after Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, there was a big international coalition which reversed that. This is no different, legally speaking.
Okay, yeah, point well made. Let me challenge you on this then, about this concept, or this notion that this author, Vicky Ward, is premising, which is that at no time ever has an administration been so loyal to an Israeli administration as is the Trump administration. Why do you think that's happening? What's your reaction to it?
It's ironic, isn't it? Because so much of the mainstream media and political establishment claim that Donald Trump is Putin's puppet. But notice that the Trump administration has refused to recognize the Russian annexation of Crimea. But here it is recognizing, in flagrant violation of international law, the Israeli annexation of Syria's occupied Golan Heights. And I think, you know, we've seen there's a couple of things at work here, very briefly. One is the polarization in America over Israel. Support for Israel has become increasingly a right-wing, an extreme right-wing, and Christian fundamentalist cause. So this is Trump playing to the Republican base. But also, we've seen him put some of the most extreme pro-Israel people into top policy positions.
Let me stop you for a minute and ask me real quick about this whole Jared Kushner revelation. Apparently, I didn't know that Jared's father and Bibi Netanyahu are very close friends, and that according to some reports, Bibi Netanyahu would come to his house and actually stay in Jared's bed. He's almost like an uncle-like figure to Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is now in charge of all Israeli policy for the United States. What say you?
Well, it's certainly emblematic of the close relationship. You could say the U.S. and Israel are in bed together. But look, another name we need to mention here is Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson, the casino billionaire, the biggest donor to Donald Trump's campaign and inaugural committee. And in last November's midterm elections, Sheldon Adelson and his wife gave $100 million to the Republican Party. Adelson has made very clear that his number one priority is Israel. And so a lot of it comes down to, it's not a mystery, it's money in politics, and there is a lot of pro-Israel money in politics. And a lot of people are afraid to say that. When Congressman Ilhan Omar said the obvious, that pro-Israel money plays a massive role, everyone jumped on her and claimed she was anti-Semitic, but she wasn't anti-Semitic, and she was just telling the truth.
Well, we believe on this show that it is a part of the conversation, despite the fact that most of the media in the United States will not touch this story and usually won't even bother to interview with someone from the opinions from the other side like yourself. Ali Abunimah, thank you, sir, for taking time to join us on this important conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.